Yeah, so I'm not gonna get the big ocean view, I think. Uh, oh, so nice. Now I'm at Salir port. Basically waiting for the battery on this Osmo camera to die because I didn't charge it all the way after a long time. And I didn't want to wait to charge it because I got the sunshine. It's warming up. My elbow feels okay. I was putting a lot of tension on it. It's a muscle that connects to the elbow joint. That was weird. It's still stiff, but I was kind of, my elbow was locked. And I was putting a lot of tension into that instead of relaxing. So yeah, you got to be active a lot when you're in the stormy weather, because things go south really quick when you're older. Got to maintain. Yeah, I don't think from here I can't go up to the big view. This is the pool at Salir Port, which I like, of course. What's not to like? See, the pool bar is still open. Nice. That's a marvelous place to drink rosé. That's like a rosé mecca for the old Bouillon tea. He does his rosé over there. So this is very nice. I'll switch over to the other camera. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just using the onboard mic. So I hope the breeze doesn't make it too hard to hear. Yeah, so the elbow thing right here. This muscle that goes over this joint here. And if I pinch it, it hurts. But it's better now. Weird. You can feel it in the joint. Yeah, so yeah, in a way, life is all about just losing everything until you finally die. Hopefully, if you're old, your children are alive, your grandchildren are alive. And I've had friends who've lost siblings, and it's just heartbreaking. And I can empathize because I know what it's like to lose someone close, but not exactly that. And when you lose two siblings, it's just hard to fathom how you get through that. You know, it's bad enough with some losses to forget about it, move on, get past it. But losing something like that is just terrible. But it's important that we try to empathize and understand and be compassionate. It's better that we do. Yeah, so the degrowth thing, right? I mean, circumstances will dictate, and technology isn't the panacea, you know, science, engineering, and technology for human beings, because the better we get at it, the more resources we're going to need. So you'd better be a multi-planetary civilization if you're going to grow the way we think we want to grow. And you better have that Dyson sphere around some sun, some star, and, you know, use all that energy or whatever. And you better be able to mine asteroids and other rocky planets for minerals and so on. Because, you know, how do you make that affordable, doable from a limited rock, third rock from the sun with limited resources? I don't know. But you can't just sit around and say, well, the soil isn't important, and the lives being lost in Ukraine on all sides aren't important. It's just necessary to wreck things in order to get what we want, whether it's ideologically or financially or whatever. And we think we're good at calculating risk and at Bayes' theorem probabilities, but we're not. We're crap at statistics. And no matter how much you study logical fallacies and heuristics and psychology, you're never going to know the half of it, even if it's your profession. I'm still getting through that Rolla May article. I want to put some more up because there's some good points in that. But yeah, to sustain, to feel that people and the soil and animals and so on are sacred in a way, that they matter, that they're important, that they should be cared for and maintained, to wage peace in order to maintain the peace. So you don't have to throw away all that human potential, hurling people at each other. And these days, GPS, drones, pretty soon it's going to be robots. But the only way you make that work is by shredding people. You've got to kill people. And it's not a good thing. I can't imagine anyone thinks it is. If that's your big deal and you think somehow picking a side and being all self-righteous about it is a thing that makes you special, think again. You're not the one making the sacrifice, but it's coming. Sacrifice is coming to you, one way or another. You're going to lose. You're going to experience loss, and it's going to hurt. And it might even destroy you. It might destroy you mentally, emotionally, physically. And the Gabor Mate book, it is true, our system is complex. We didn't know about the vagus nerve or what the microbiome does for the brain or any of this stuff. And we didn't have brain scanners, and we didn't have all these tools that we have now to gather data and to figure out empirically and experimentally, scientifically, how things work. We're not just a machine like an airplane. Everything's interconnected. So I'm breathing air right now. I got this UV, broad spectrum on my body. It's going through my clothing. It's doing good things for me. I don't have to mega dose vitamin D today. I got my bicycle, doing some exercise. I'm trying to keep my head together. And it's good, but at the same time, I hurt my elbow. Just having a nice bike ride. I'm lucky because I think it's going to be okay really quick, and I can ride home and whatnot. And so I haven't lost my arm. People in Ukraine are losing their limbs. Yeah, there's so much about good and evil, but the whole thing works together to produce what we have here that we live off of, that we take for granted. And this includes communities and societies and cultures, and culture is difficult to change. And I just can't believe the political culture in the States. It's grotesque, and I think it's already a loss. But it's not utterly, totally corrupt. It's not completely a total loss. There are ways back, but the dumber we get and the more our dumbness is engineered by algorithms and random data that we all feed into the internet. Because, garbage in, garbage out. Pretty soon, the garbage that's being posted is from another algorithm or an AI. It's not even from a human being anymore. And you can't emphasize how important text is to this whole thing. Enter some text and I'll make you an art picture. Enter some text and I'll make you a song, like a Beatles song. Enter some text and I'll make a face for you, your perfect girlfriend. Enter some text and I'll write a paper for you, an essay, a poem. What's it about? An upside down tree on a bubblegum sky, expanding like a multiverse because two atoms collided, or there was some activity on the quantum level, and so... And there you spits out your poem, and it's genius. You edit it a bit, people think, wow, this guy's creative. It's absurd, and you can't get ahead of this because the momentum is so powerful, and it's a huge, huge fire hose of energy. And people are feeding into it. They're addicted to it, in fact. This Gabor Mate book is important because it takes the science and these other anecdotal things and the psychology and kind of puts it together and says, all these feedbacks, all these systems are complex and they all kind of are interwoven. And so if you have trauma that you haven't dealt with, or you don't even know you had, I'm not talking about bringing back false memories or telling people they got lost in a shopping mall when they were a kid. I mean, really, the real ones. And what that does to cancer, not just the sugar, but the stress, the emotional, psychological stress. If you don't deal with it, you leave it undealt with, the losses. You don't understand the bigger picture, the greater context, the multidimensionality of things. Then you're much more vulnerable. You're much less strong. You're much less wise. You're much less prepared for the next thing you got to do. And for the emergency that's coming, for the losses that you're going to sustain moving forward, and eventually you're going to lose your life. And you can think about the afterlife or the rebirth or nirvana, or you can couch it in any terms you like. There's nothing wrong with that. I know atheists who'd rather have a church funeral and be buried somewhere where their family can visit. These are all part of culture, part of meaning of life, life meaning issues, meaning in life, meaning of life. So all of that's going to be wrestled with, and it always is, generation after generation, despite the tools that we have. The mysticism and the faith in the singularity movement is different than it was in the medieval church or during the Holy Roman Empire or the pagan periods. Now we have faith in technology. It's faith. We don't have to believe in it because we can see what comes out of it, this camera that I'm talking to and this YouTube that I'm uploading to. It's demonstratively true that this stuff is amazing and that it works. The enclosed part of the oh, that's really nice. So during the winter it's going to be less windy in that one area there. They didn't have that before. That's new. That's a cool little mini bike.